We come to this place for magic, to laugh,
To cry.
To care.
but most importantly to argue about movies. We are
The Box Office Buzz.
And today is a very special episode. We have another guest to come on to talk about a debutante in a horror franchise of all horror franchises. One that you probably haven't thought about since 2011. It is what, Kellerman?
Final Destination.
Coming back, baby. We'll be breaking down that show with a special guest in a little bit. We'll also be giving a spoiler-free review of the Tim Robinson movie Friendship, as all three of us saw that movie this weekend. Alche, anything you want to say to preview that?
It's good. Not great.
Fantastic. Can't wait to talk about it and dive into that one. You know, only 6 theaters nationwide got that movie, so we really have to keep it spoiler-free when we get there, folks.
It's true.
But-
It's not technically out yet wide.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. A lot of clips have been shared, though, and I got to tell you, some of the funniest moments of the movie have been shared. But
Yeah, I agree.
today, we're going to start off the show with something very special. A little bit of a rumor, a little bit of a scouting report. You see, sometimes we talk about movies that are coming well off into the future because the three of us are in a fantasy box office league. We each draft 5 movies that are coming out this year, and whoever makes the most money in the fantasy box office wins said league. And sometimes we look deep into the future to see how would we draft a movie that's planned to come out later. And today it involves all the world of Marvel and some of my favorite Marvel. Kellerman, what are we talking about today?
X-Men.
Woo!
Yes. Yes.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Yes.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Before we start, that's the best theme song. It's a top 3 theme song
question.
like of all time.
No question.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. That X-Files and fill in the name later. Fantastic theme song. I will say, we're not talking about the Patrick Stewart world of X-Men. We're not talking about the James McAvoy world of X-Men because it has been announced and or rumored that when this whole different phases, whatever phase we're in of Marvel right now, all the multiple dimensions that you're seeing, when that saga comes to a close, and it is planned to be coming to a close, they are starting a new phase of Marvel with a new X-Men team, a new cast, a new origin, a new whole world. We'll still
about
have
time.
Wolverine,
I'm
Professor
pumped.
X, all those characters, but they are going to be recast. And right now, the rumor has it that the director of Thunderbolts will be the man in charge of X-Men because, as we said last week, Thunderbolts was
Awesome.
excellent. Do you agree, Alche, that this man should be in charge of such a pivotal moment in Marvel history with a whole new X-Men?
Yeah, I think he absolutely nailed it. Obviously, I would have preferred Ryan Coogler, but it's also rumored that he was offered it, and also rumored that he's holding on to Black Panther 3. A lot of rumors swirling.
A lot of rumors.
But if it's not going to be Coogler, yeah, I think he's got it.
We've also heard rumors, Kellerman, about a bunch of names being thrown out there. Young Hollywood is in a tizzy. All those agents, those power brokers are on the phone right now with Marvel saying, hey, you know who would make a great Storm? My person right now.
That's right.
There's a lot of names that are out there. Have any of them excited you in any way?
I think that, people have been speculating about Wolverine, I think, the longest.
That's the biggest one,
And I've
probably.
seen a lot of really interesting names.
Yeah.
Such as Daniel Radcliffe was one of the more interesting ones that I
Crazy.
think people were really going
I think it's
after.
crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
it's interesting because I think it's so wrong.
I
But
love
people
Daniel
think-
Radcliffe.
I
Don't
do
get me
too.
wrong.
Great actor. I don't think he's quite right for Wolverine.
when they do the Ant-Man reboot, Daniel Radcliffe will be perfect.
Now, Daniel Radcliffe is more jacked than anyone talking to you on a microphone
Oh,
right
absolutely.
now. But
Sure.
that's not a Wolverine.
We're
I'm
getting
sorry.
closer, though. I've been hitting that gym, Daniel.
Now, because of that, because of the new X-Men, because of Marvel taking a new step into the future, because of all these names being floated around Hollywood, we thought now was a great time to dive into this scouting report and play a little game because Alche and I are really fantasy football nerds. So we want to add a little bit of sports into this world. We dragged Kellerman. He was yelling and hooting and hollering. He didn't want to be in a fantasy box office league. He didn't care
I'm
what
not
an
a sports
auction
guy.
draft was. And we convinced him to
But
do it, and
now,
he's
how do
loved
you
every
feel?
second of it.
Now you love it.
So now, on this show, we are drafting a new X-Men cast due to the off-the-field, off-the-camera Professor TJ himself decided to pick who went first. And, of course, I won that game, and I will be going first because I also won the Fantasy Box Office League.
Okay, unrelated.
And I also am leading the over-under charge when it comes to picking over-unders. And you know what? Didn't we play a game here last time where we wanted to decide what Ryan Coogler's next project would be, and we all gave a pitch to TJ? And I have to check my notes, but who won that one?
I'm excited for
What do
this
you
draft,
mean?
guys.
This guy won that one. I've yet to lose anything on this show, and even though I've said it right now, TJ's going to pick someone else because he, again, we'll be picking at the end who
edits
drafted
this
the
podcast
best
again?
team.
Is it me? Can I edit this entire section out? I think I can.
I think that's a long enough intro. We are drafting an X-Men roster. Whatever I say first, an actor and a part. The other players cannot pick that actor, cannot draft that part. And in the end, we are giving you, the listener, the viewer, a whole new cast for the X-Men movie based on young Hollywood right now.
Well, how many rounds are we doing this?
We're each doing 5 picks, so 15 X-Men characters in total. They don't have to be X-Men, they're just in the X-Men universe. Bad guys, good guys, professors, mutants, all of the above.
And before you give your first draft
Yeah.
pick, I do want to say that ever since the very first X-Men movie came out, I have been debating with people that the X-Men movies we have, all of them, every single one of them, simply pales in comparison to whatever MCU, Marvel Studios official X-Men movie will be, because not a single X-Men movie that's come out has actually been anything close to the source material of the comic books.
Oh, wow.
And I know
Interesting.
for a fact that MCU is going to rein that in,
Well-
be closer to the source material
Well-
than previous X-Men projects. And Marvel also has a really strong track record with casting.
Yes, absolutely. They back up the Brinks truck, and they're going to need to with my first pick.
Robert Downey Jr. is
Yeah.
hard to beat as a Tony Stark.
Now, I will also say, and thank you for clarifying before we began, we're going with the traditional Professor X's older generation of X-Men.
Comic book X-Men.
Yeah, comic
I think.
book
Or
X-Men.
X-Men animated series.
Correct.
Also.
Which is also where my love for X-Men came from.
Same.
Sure.
So if I'm
Everyone our age.
going to cast some characters based on what I know them from that X-Men animated series.
That makes sense.
So shall we dive in?
Let's dive
It
in.
goes Tony, then Alche, then Kellerman, and we'll be doing a snake draft. He'll be coming back with more picks. Each of us get 5 picks. We are casting the new X-Men. And with my first pick, it goes Tony, Alche, Kellerman. Then it doubles back on a snake draft, Kellerman, Alche, Tony, and I'm diving in first. And when you said, Kellerman, that we want to keep these true to the comic book storyline, I gave a little bit of a look. Because this storyline takes place with some of these characters, some of their backstories, I will say, take place a long time ago. And we are now going to be making this movie probably around 2030. And in order to age these characters correctly, you might have to mix with that a little bit. One of my favorite characters in X-Men is Magneto.
Of course.
Sure.
And I think he is a pivotal point of how the X-Men story is told from the mutants' perspective.
Yes.
And I believe you have to have a heavyweight actor to carry that role. And someone that has gravitas and can play good and bad. I thought Fassbender was perfect when he was younger,
And
Magneto.
Sir Ian McKellen.
Absolutely. This one's definitely an actor's actor. He has been a big part of DC, but he has not touched Marvel. My Magneto and our Magneto is Michael Shannon. That's how we're starting.
Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
how we're starting
It's a good pick.
Michael
it's a good
Shannon.
Pick. I am going to do his counterpart here.
Good.
And go with Professor X.
Good.
Obviously, I don't know that it's possible to beat the casting of Patrick Stewart.
I mean,
I know.
it's pretty
Impeccable.
damn near
Yeah.
impossible.
I know.
But I do think this person comes close. I'm going to cast Stanley Tucci as Professor X.
Interesting.
I like that.
Yeah.
Were you just thinking of bald?
I was going to say.
Bald
Did
men?
I Google bald actors in their 50s? Maybe. But he's got a wisdom. He's got a kindness.
I'm going to start with Storm.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I think I've got a banger for Storm.
Okay.
Cynthia Erivo.
Ooh.
Ooh, good pick.
That was my second pick.
Come
Very
on.
good.
Come on.
That is better than mine. I will say it.
Who
outright.
was yours?
Mine was going to be Journey Smollett, but I like.
Thank
Okay.
God you got Cynthia Erivo in there.
We got
Thank
Cynthia
God.
instead.
What do you mean? Thank God, Journey Smollett's a great actress.
We're not casting any Smollett today. Great job, Kelvin.
Okay, my next one, and this is an actress that you guys had actually talked about for another role when we were kind of like starting this conversation. But I think that Margaret Qualley would make a perfect Kitty Pryde.
Oh, yeah, she would.
I'm going to say she's our Kitty Pryde.
Interesting.
Shadow Cat, if you will.
It's interesting that you went casting Kitty before casting the bunch of other names that most viewers are going to know.
I only do that because I think it's so perfect.
You didn't want to
I didn't
waste
want
anything else.
somebody to use her for another
Fair enough.
character.
I understand.
Fair enough.
I understand. All right, Alche.
Okay.
Bring it home, buddy.
Okay. I'm going to cast one of everyone's favorite characters. I'm going to cast Gambit.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Austin Butler is our Gambit.
Okay.
And I think he's
got the hair for it.
He's got the hair. He's got the scraggly
The smolder.
voice.
Great
the
pick.
smolder.
Sure.
Great
The
pick.
angst.
That is a good pick.
I think he would crush.
Yeah, I love
Gambit.
that. He'd have to learn the accent.
He doesn't know how to get rid of the Elvis accent, but
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still in for it.
Man, we've gone this long and Wolverine hasn't been cast.
I
I got
know.
2 in a row.
Okay,
I got
okay.
2 in a row. And you know what? I'm going to do it. Because the other part of X-Men that is huge and told great through both really the X-Men animated series and through the Hugh Jackman movies is the sort of war between Wolverine and Cyclops. The war that they have between each other.
Classic.
And long in both the comics and the X-Men, I shouldn't say the comics, the X-Men animated series and in the new ones, Cyclops has been the prototypical cuck. I don't know if I can use that word here, but that's what you think about when you think about Cyclops. And to me, I want
Poor
to have
Cyclops.
I want to have Cyclops
Yeah.
be a little bit more of the leader of the X-Men.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, Wolverine is more powerful than him. Yes, Wolverine is a foil to him, but Cyclops can still hold his own and needs a little bit more respect in the world of X-Men.
I completely agree.
so
He was
agree.
absolutely in the animated series. He was one of my favorite characters. In the movies, he's my least favorite character.
So
He's whiny in all
Yeah.
the movies.
I'm going to cast 2 people who are vastly different from each other, but I think will play off of each other. And I think specifically the people watching will either be attracted to one or the other. And they can be Jean Grey making their own decision here. So I'm going with both Cyclops and Wolverine.
Who's it going to be?
Wolverine you've heard of before. Wolverine's been in Deadpool before. It's Henry Cavill. I want to see Henry Cavill as my Wolverine.
Okay.
Period. Wholeheartedly, he's made for the role. And his counterpart, Cyclops, again, I want a more stunning, a more someone that you can put on a poster and sell tickets to and not think that's a cuck. And I'm going Cyclops is Jacob Elordi.
Nice, I had that too.
That
Ooh,
is-
that's a good one.
That is my Cyclops to play across
He's
Henry
solid.
Cavill, and that's 1 and 2, the 2 main men in this movie.
Well done. I had that as well for Cyclops. I absolutely hate your Wolverine pick. He might be my grievance at the end of this that I'll air
Okay,
out. We'll see.
okay.
I loved this character in the animated series, and he's been heavily underutilized in
Tell me it's
the
Morph.
movies. It's Beast.
Oh, okay. Kelsey Grammer, a pretty good one. Kelsey Grammer.
It was fine. I think about this voice more than anything because obviously he's going to be in makeup.
All right, let me imagine it.
Daniel Day Kim.
Oh, okay.
I think he could have
Yeah.
the intelligence, but also he's a strong, strapping man who could get all blue and hairy. You know,
Gotta love Blue and Harry.
I think he could be our sort of our genius. In
Yeah,
Beast.
Beast is a character that I feel has been short shifted in the movies, just because a big part of his character in the comic books is his struggle between looking like a beast but being a soft, sensitive person.
Yeah.
and that hasn't really been. Especially in the more recent movies, he can change back and forth whenever he wants. It completely
100%.
removes that element. Of his
I think Daniel
character.
Day Kim has it in him. I think he'd be a great Beast.
I think that's a good one.
So, Callum, we're going for you for 2 picks, but we're pretty much halfway through the draft, so let me recap with you. Magneto and Professor X are Michael Shannon and Stanley Tucci. Storm, Cynthia Erivo, and Kitty Pryde is Margaret Qualley. Gambit is Austin Butler. Wolverine and Cyclops are Henry Cavill and Jacob Elordi, and then the Beast is Daniel Day Kim. Callum, you have 2 picks in a row.
Okay, for Iceman, because Iceman, who has always been somewhat of an underutilized character in the movies, I really want to bring him forward with a powerful actor, a little name like Timothy Chalamet.
I love it.
That's a big name for Iceman.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think that
You're going to have the X-Men movie be X-Men, the Iceman Chronicles? Because that's the only way Timothy Chalamet is signing on for X-Men.
Maybe Timothy Chalamet wants to bring some depth to Iceman.
Ooh,
It'll be
that's
great.
a big name.
each X-Men... Every name we've had has been a big name.
Yeah, I mean...
You're using Superman for Wolverine. We're not using big names.
Because Wolverine's a huge X-Men. I want Iceman to be more pivotal part. Chalamet coming in for Iceman is like, who's he playing?
Who
Iceman?
else are you casting Chalamet as?
That's I have-
Exactly. Iceman, he's a perfect Iceman. You
Yeah,
would pick
it's okay
Kellerman.
for him to be a smaller, skinnier man.
Yes.
You can't cast every actor in Hollywood in this thing. Some of them are going to be smaller parts.
This
for
is a
smaller
fantasy
actors.
draft.
What's your next pick?
Now, I started this with Kitty Pryde,
Yes, you did.
and her love interest is Colossus. And for Colossus, I would cast Patrick Schwarzenegger.
It's a good pick.
Damn it.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick.
Tall, muscular,
Yeah.
handsome. Metal him up. I think he'd be awesome.
Yeah. I loved Jubilee.
Oh no!
Oh, good one. Oh, I didn't even think of Jubilee.
Anna Sawai from Shogun. Emmy winner, Anna Sawai.
Okay.
She's cool.
Yeah.
She's crafty. She's
that.
fun.
I can't believe you guys gave me not only Cyclops and Wolverine, but you've given me Jean Grey as well.
You know what?
Yeah,
Those
who-
are not
who
my
are you
favorite
doing?
characters.
Who
That
are you
doesn't mean...
doing?
They're such pivotal characters in
Yeah,
these movies,
it's
though.
incredibly
Take
important.
them. Enjoy.
I am casting Jean Grey with my 4th pick, and my 5th pick is still a question mark. But Jean Grey, to me, it's not the perfect fit when it comes to like how you consider her. But hey, dye her hair red, and I think she'll be perfect because again, Jean Grey needs to have that great side and also that dark side that we know is coming. Yep. Whenever you do an X-Men story, you have to have some type of Phoenix in there, and you need to have an actress that can pull it off. I'm putting Kaylee Spaney as my Jean Grey. That's number 1.
Can you tell people who that is?
Alien Romulus, led Alien Romulus. She was in what was the war movie with Civil War? She was in that movie. I think she's a phenomenal young actress. The last one I'm going with is Rogue.
Yeah, I figured.
And this is a little bit of an off the board type pick, but I had this person as Jubilee. We're going to have to make a quick change. And instead, Rogue, it's not going to go to Mikey Madsen, who I had as my original Rogue. Instead, it's going to go to, because I've fallen in love with this girl on The Last of Us. And I am making Rogue Isabella Merced, who plays Dina on The Last of Us.
She is so good, dude.
I think she is one of the best young actresses in Hollywood, genuinely.
I'm glad you didn't go with the other actress from that show.
I think she is the next it girl in Hollywood, and putting her as Rogue would be a definite different twist on Rogue. I think she'd be amazing at it. Alien Romulus actress as well. I guess I just loved Alien Romulus.
I guess.
You
I
really
think
do.
that's it.
If you haven't seen
That's good.
the latest episode of The Last of Us, she gives one of the best performances I've seen on TV this year. She is so good in that show.
She's phenomenal. Alche, your final pick.
For my last pick, I am going to go with Nightcrawler, who is also my favorite character to play with in the X-Men video game.
Zip, zip, zip.
So fun.
Zipping around.
Zipping around, bopping around. Are you guys familiar with the actor Jarrell Jerome? Have you seen
I'm not.
When They See Us? He was the lead in the series When They See Us. He is an excellent, excellent actor and has a wonderful quirk to him that I think would be stellar for Nightcrawler.
Okay.
Take my word for it. Enjoy.
Okay, Kellerman, you're ending it all. You're ending it all. There's still some big names, big characters that haven't been cast here.
I'm going to cast Angel, one of the original X-Men characters.
I had Angel.
And that's going to be Lucas Gage.
Nice one. Nice one.
He's got the look. I think just really that's all you need for Angel. He's not a prominent character, but he's just got to look rich and handsome and good with his shirt off. Put some angel wings on that kid, and I think he's got it.
He definitely looks rich.
Our final X-Men roster. Magneto is Michael Shannon. Professor X is Stanley Tucci. I gotta say, we started off great. Storm, Cynthia Erivo. Kitty Pryde is Margaret Qualley. If you've never heard of Kitty Pryde, you're not the only one. Gambit is Austin Butler. Wolverine, Henry Cavill. Cyclops, Jacob Elordi. The Beast, Daniel Day Kim. Iceman, Chalamet. Colossus is Pat Schwarzenegger. Jubilee is
Anna Sawai.
Jean Grey, Kaylee Spaney. Rogue is Isabella Merced. Nightcrawler is...
Jarrell Jerome.
And Angel is...
Lucas Gage.
And that is the new Hollywood version of X-Men. Let
It's
us
a
know if you
strong
agree. TJ, you have each of our picks that we've all made to cast this movie. All of us put 5 names on that paper. Who do you think did the best at casting the new X-Men?
I think the standout picks come from my man Cheese. So I'm going to go with Cheese as
Wow.
X-Men because Stanley Tucci as Professor X and Austin Butler as Gambit are divine.
Yeah, terrible end of the
Cynthia
draft. But hey,
as Storm was unbeatable.
terrible end of the draft for Cheese, but it's enough to get him the victory.
That's not true.
I will say Mystique as Anna de Armas would have been my 6th pick.
Ooh,
Would have
that's
been
a good
perfect-
one.
Would have been a perfect Mystique, but apparently Mystique
would
ain't
be.
an X-Men.
Yeah, who
No,
are your
no.
grievances? Who are your big grievances?
Probably that I didn't get to draft Mystique. I also think Iceman, Joe Keery from Stranger Things would have been a perfect Iceman.
He would have been
You know,
good.
speaking of Stranger Things, I thought Millie Bobby Brown would be a good Jean Grey.
Yeah,
since
I
she's
thought about
already
that
kind
too.
of a Jean Grey
She
style
would have been good. You know,
character.
it would have been a good
Thought
rogue.
about that too.
Jenna Ortega would have been a good rogue.
Oh, you know what? I could see that.
I hate your Wolverine pick.
I think Jenna Ortega could make a good Jubilee.
She would also make a good Jubilee. She can kind of fit anywhere in there.
I don't know. I
Aaron
don't know
Pierre
about
would have
that.
been the best Wolverine.
Okay,
Aaron
great.
Pierre would have crushed
I had Shia
Wolverine.
LaBeouf, which I thought would be a great wild card.
I'm so happy I got to pick. After hearing those two names, you guys were so mad at Wolverine, and those are the two you came with?
Well, only because
First of all, Aaron
Come on.
Pierre. Who would win in a fight, Henry Cavill or Aaron Pierre? Aaron Pierre would bury that guy in the ground.
We saw Cavill as Wolverine, and it was kind of underwhelming.
And if you're walking down the street and you're Billy on the Street when the old Ellen DeGeneres show, and you go, "Hey, can you name Aaron Pierre any movie he's been in?" No, I can't. Oh, come on! He'd walk away.
Well, you're
Can you
about
name
to
Henry
because
Cavill?
Green
You
Lantern's
can't.
about to happen.
That's the end of a very long segment that went too far. Now we have to talk about friendship, a part of this show that we're going to hate much more than we did X-Men. It's time for friendship. In 6 theaters across the nation, New York and LA, Friendship starring Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd came out. Kellerman, myself, and Cheese all saw it. We also all bid an over-under how much money it would make in just 6 theaters. The number was set at $500,000 to our great Professor TJ. Kellerman and I gave the under. We are correct. Alche, you didn't win that one?
Hey, I was pretty damn close.
it was super close,
You guys
but I
didn't think
needed
it was
the
going to
win.
be close at all.
I didn't think it was going anywhere near Uncut Gems.
It's the best per theater we've had so far out of any movie this year, how much money it
Amazing.
made per theater. And I can tell you, I saw it 4 p.m. on a Thursday. My place was packed.
Same, I
And it
saw
was
it
a lot
early
of
on
I
Friday.
think you should leave fans. However, this is a very spoiler-free review because this movie's not coming out worldwide for another 2 weeks here. Very spoiler-free review for Friendship. I'm going to go first here. I am a huge fan of I Think You Should Leave. I'm even a bigger fan of the Detroiters. And I got to say, with this movie, I Think You Should Leave is one thing. I thought I was going to leave. I really did not enjoy my time watching this movie. I did not laugh too much. I was really bored, especially in the middle of it. I was just sitting there waiting for stuff to happen. And my biggest note, I will say, is there's only so many times an actor yelling a curse word can be a punchline in a 90-minute movie. And I thought this beat that over the head with it and wasn't funny by the end of it. I thought I'm happy I stayed to the end because the funniest joke might be at the end of the movie, but I really didn't enjoy my time. How did you guys feel?
I am sort of with you. Let me preface this by saying I love irreverent humor. I love dark comedies, and this is both of those things, but it was so down the middle on everything. It never went so extreme that I thought it was riotously hilarious. In fact, I spent most of the movie trying to figure out if it was a drama with 2 funny actors in it or a comedy that just wasn't that funny. And ultimately, I think it's a comedy, and I laughed a lot. I should say I laughed. If we're talking like per laugh, there was a lot of laughs for me, specifically anytime Slipknot was played. For whatever reason, that really got me every time. But it was not enjoyable. It wasn't a fun comedy. It was sad. And it's funny because Alex Lewis said that about I Think You Should Leave. He said it's really funny, but at a certain point it's just kind of sad.
Yeah, he said
And
if you watch 90 minutes of that, it's more of a sad thing because he is a sad clown. That's what he is. He's playing a sad clown.
And this did not have the extreme highs of I Think You Should Leave. It only had those sad moments, in my opinion.
I will say some of the funniest moments to me were the quiet moments.
Yes.
Were the moments where he mutters something under his breath or gives a reaction shot. That stuff was really funny to me. It was just, I don't know if it knew what it was trying to be and it failed on all accounts, but you disagree.
I wondered a number of times if it was funny on the page, if they had written a funny scene, or if it was only funny because Tim Robinson was speaking in a funny voice. You know what I mean?
I do. I think the main issue with the movie has nothing to do with the movie itself. It has everything to do with the expectations of what the movie was supposed to be. This movie is a drama. This movie is a satirical drama. It is a satire, a comment on middle-aged friendship and middle-aged male friendship and how much more important it is for a middle-aged man to have friends than it is to even be married. It was so clear to me by the end that the marketing for this movie screwed up my expectations going in. The marketing looked closer to an "I love you, man" type of comedy than it was this dark, satirical, sort of like middle of nowhere America, male dark satirical drama with some comedic elements. I am not a huge fan of Tim Robinson in general. I think he's fine in this movie. I think
he was funny,
but it's not about the comedy to me.
Right.
It really struck me like, did I enjoy my viewing experience? Absolutely not. Did I leave thinking about and having this weird, uncomfortable feeling about the state of especially white men in this country? I absolutely did. And I think it had a wonderful comment on how doomed we are because we don't have friends.
That's interesting.
I love that you're finding the deeper meaning in this movie. However, I do believe you're doing so to find purpose in the 2 hours you wasted watching this
I don't
film.
think so at all.
I
This happened to me in Act 3.
I don't think that. I listen. Everyone has their own experience with this movie. If you saw that in it, then that's what you saw in it. I don't think. I think this movie doesn't know what it's trying to do, and you're drawing like it's like going and watch absurdist art on a wall. It's like, yeah, there's a banana taped to the duct tape. Well, actually, it's saying this. I don't think it's saying anything. I think it's a banana duct tape to the wall, and I don't think I wasn't entertained at all. Other than the toad scene, wasn't entertained at all in this movie.
I think that has picked up on a theme that it's definitely in there. I personally had a hard time identifying with it because I don't have hard of a time making friends.
Yeah, you have a lot of friends.
So, and I identified with Paul Rudd the most, being the guy that was like, hey, I tried to invite you to a thing. It was kind of weird. I don't want you to come over anymore. And as soon as that happened, I no longer sympathized with Tim Robinson at all.
I will say a good thing about this movie. I will end with something positive here. All of the all the stuff you've seen in the trailer happened in the beginning of this movie, so it's very much it hasn't given anything away. I'll put it that way. And sometimes with comedies, they give the good parts away. And that's not true. All the beginning stuff you haven't seen in this movie, which is great.
Sure. For me, the most confusing part of the movie was when I walked out of the theater and overheard a group of young, I'm going to say under the age of 20-year-olds talking about how it was the funniest movie they'd ever seen in the theater.
Good for them, man.
And that was easily the most confusing thing to me because not only did I not think it was that funny, but I didn't think there was much there for a younger audience.
Hey, they did it. They did it. Congratulations.
Hey, and it's doing well in the box office, so clearly
It did incredibly well.
Either
at the box
I'm
office.
right, or we're all wrong, and this is the funniest comedy in America.
Could
Yeah.
be. Who knows?
You let us know.
Good luck going to see it. But that's it. Now we have to talk about a movie that I also don't want to see. It is a new horror movie or a new version of an old horror movie. We're going back to the 6th edition of Final Destination.
I'm excited.
And we are back. As you can tell, we're in a two-shot. It's me and Alche together. Sadly, I have to sit next to him because we have a wonderful guest to talk about a movie that Alche and I do not want to see whatsoever. The 6th installment of Final Destination. This one is called Bloodlines. Why? Because apparently there's bloodlines involved. It's actually a really cool premise. This college, I believe it's a girl, college student comes home, has a bad dream, has a nightmare that all this tragedy is going to happen, and has to go back to find out why her family is being targeted. Well, tainted blood in the Final Destination's Bloodlines. Again, 6th installment, my guy. I'm excited for this. Before we kick it over to our guest, are you excited at all? That is why we brought another voice to talk about this movie, to liven it up a little bit, because Kelman's excited about every movie, but we needed a new person to talk about it. So introducing Lauren McGuire. Woo! She is a comedy writer in L.A., Star Trek Lower Decks, Comedy Bang Bang, an untitled Netflix series coming out very soon from Daytona Beach, Florida, and now here in Los Angeles. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for that intro. That was beautiful.
You're far overqualified to be joining us three fools, but so thank you.
Now, I heard through a little birdie that you two and a group of you are watching all the Final Destinations together to catch up in hoping for Final Destination 6. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I don't remember, had you seen them all before we
I've
started
seen
our
none of
walkthrough?
them.
Oh, so we're watching them for the first time
Yes,
for you.
yes.
Oh, man, that's so fun.
Yeah.
These movies have come out all the time. This is the first one since 2011. However, we had The Final Destination, which was fourth, and then Final Destination 5, The Finaler. That came out in 2011, long stretch. Now we're back again. In 2025, we talked about this a long time ago. It is the year of reboots in horror. 8 horror franchises are coming back with a new movie this year. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Scream's coming out next year, as we'll talk about with another podcast later. But this one's sort of the beginning of that. Will they succeed in the box office? Will they be good movies? I will say, as a person who does not love this franchise, the trailer has sold me as this is going to be a fun movie. Has it done the same for you?
Yeah, the trailer rules. I don't know how you couldn't be excited about it.
And it's everywhere. This movie's getting a ton of marketing.
It is getting a ton of buzz. Is it enough buzz to make it a successful movie in our fantasy box office league? You've heard about this before. If this is the first time watching a show, the 3 of us are in a fantasy box office league. We draft 5 movies. Whoever makes the most money in that worldwide box office for that year wins the league. I talk so much because I won last year. However, we have a new rule this year. There is a 6th movie that we have all drafted, and it is a game like Price is Right. Whoever gets closest to 150 million worldwide gets a huge prize to add to their total, and this is the first movie in our league that is a part of that 6th special category, the indie movie category, Final Destination Bloodlines. Out of the 6 movies, do you guys want to guess how many have gone over 150 million worldwide? Sorry, out of the 5 that came out. Yeah, how many have gone over?
Final Destinations.
Yeah.
I still have 2 more to watch before this.
Over
So
150
I don't know.
million?
Over 150 million worldwide, yeah.
I bet 4 of them.
3 of them.
3, okay.
3
So-
of them have gone over. Okay.
If you go over 150 million in this special 6 category, you lose. It's Price is Right. Whoever hits it doesn't get it. Our friend Ben Rosen is the one who has Final Destination
Okay,
Bloodlines.
Ben, okay.
And as you've said, this trailer is excellent. As you said, you've seen it everywhere. Do you expect a lot of people to go see this this weekend?
I do. It looks
Because it's
awesome.
alone. It's by
Yeah.
itself coming out.
Yeah, the hype is there for that.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think it's going to be a very strong opening. I think there's no way this doesn't do at least $200 million personally.
200.
Reboots do that. We got, how many years? You said 14 years
Yeah.
ago it
Yeah.
came out. The last one came out. We got so much time in between, and the premise, I think, is there. It's the only Final Destination that I'm slightly interested in terms of plot. We don't have any logs growing through cars this time. It's in the DNA. It's in the blood. There's going to be some, a little more like lore within this one, I think, than the previous one. So I'm into
Yeah,
it.
I'll say that speaks to, I think that Hollywood has gotten a lot better with the requels, with the reboot sequels, having legacy characters come start a new story with a new cast of characters. We've really, ever since like Top Gun Maverick, they've just been getting better, and Ghostbusters Afterlife, like they've gotten really good.
To go from Top Gun Maverick to Ghostbusters
Ghostbusters
Afterlife is a big
was an
drop.
excellent requel.
Okay.
Excellent
Okay.
requel, and goodbye to Harold Ramis, you monster. But
You are
regardless,
alone on that hill,
they
my
are
friend.
getting much better at that sort of requel, they're calling it. And I think this will be another example of that.
Lauren, having seen a few of the Final Destinations, ramping your way up to 6, we're excited for this movie, but do you think some of the campiness that the first few have is still going to be a part of this? Because horror has changed in a way from like the 2000s to now. It's definitely a new... Some things sell with audiences that some things don't. This one sort of seems like it still has that campiness attached to it.
The trailer tells me that it knows it's a little bit funny.
Yeah.
And that's what's important
Yeah.
to me personally.
Do you find these movies like you're laughing at them more than you're scared of them type thing?
Yes, I am laughing at them while barely looking at them, usually.
That makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
agree. I think this is one of those. I mean, Hostel falls into the camp too of like, I think it's a little more gory, a little more like, oh my God, why is this happening than Final Destination? But Hostel definitely, like, you're laughing while going, what is happening? Why is this happening? I don't know why. And I feel like if a Final Destination isn't doing that, it's not doing its job.
Well, something that's happened with the Final Destination movies over time that wasn't there in some of the in the first ones is the edging. that occurs that we've already seen in the trailer for the new one. Because even though they all kind of had Rube Goldberg style deaths,
Hold on, can you
now-
define edging for
Yeah, it's when
for
you
the
get
class?
right up to having an orgasm, but don't.
Okay, good.
And so as you extend the Rube Goldbergness of the death, and one thing has to hit another thing before it hits another thing, the domino effect seems to be getting longer and longer and longer for each death as we watch
You have
the
to
movies.
escalate it.
Yeah,
You have to
That's
escalate
how
it from
they're
movie to
adding.
movie. And I do think the quality between the first one and the second one, huge jump.
Down or up?
Up.
Oh,
I loved
okay.
the second one.
Okay.
Like the kills, the tanning bed thing, like the
Sure.
gimmick of the kills.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
I think Tanning Bed was 3.
What's your
Am I wrong
favorite
on that?
one so far? What's the one that stands out to you?
2 is the
That's the
last one.
logs.
Yes, the
Yeah.
logs, the tanning bed.
No, Tanning Bed was 3.
I thought log is 3.
No, Log is 2.
Log is 2.
They all
definitely
kind of
2.
run
Tanning
together as a
beds is
couple,
They
especially
do.
because we watch these in rapid succession.
Yeah, that's tough.
So the tanning bed one is my
The Tanning
favorite
Bed
by
one
far,
gets you. Is there a favorite for you?
It's got to be 2. I didn't know log was 2, but log is 2, and log got me.
I meant
I
the-
still think about the log.
The
It
best
freaks
moment
me
is
out.
the logs. Yeah, that thing stands the test of time. Kellerman, you've seen all of these. Out of all 5 so far, is there a favorite moment to you that stands out when it comes to the edging and the conclusion?
The first one, the original movie, I think personally is the simplest and the most fun, and the moment that always stands out in my memory is when he's rolling down the hill and then stops suddenly in front of the spiky log.
yeah.
Oh,
in
sure.
front of the spike stick. Love that moment.
One more
was a
time.
great-
One more time.
It was a great trailer moment. It was a great moment in the movie. When we rewatched it recently, it got me all over again. I love that moment.
Now, as we said, requels, prequels, coming back, reboots, all these horror movie franchises are coming back, and Final Destination is one of them. You can say it's a horror franchise. I wouldn't put it up there in the hallowed halls of horror franchises myself, but I did want to ask, since we have a new guest here, what are the top 3 horror movie franchises?
Oh boy! So
Lauren- I
we're
think
gonna
Lauren should go
we're gonna
first.
talk it through fully, and we'll put it together
We'll debate and
collectively.
we'll come down with a
We're gonna-
final
yeah.
3. We might even make it a final 4 since there is 4 of us. I'll throw the first name out there.
Okay.
Because I actually have a qualifier. I will start
Yes,
there.
please.
Because when it comes to horror movie franchises, some of these have 11 movies to choose from. And how do you grade the franchise? Because to me, Halloween is one of the best horror movies ever made. However, if I have to add all the other movies,
Right.
it's not in my top 3 of horror franchises because the rest of the movies stink. I'm sorry, producer TJ. They're terrible movies.
Not
So,
all of
You're
them,
wrong
but
on that, but okay.
It's okay.
so are we grading everything or are we
Yeah.
grading the highlights?
As a franchise.
As a franchise.
But also, horror is its own little special sect of genre because good doesn't always equal good. You know what I mean?
True.
Like
That's true.
or iconic or whatever. So let's just start throwing them out.
Okay.
And let's see what we agree on.
Okay.
And we'll get there.
Alien. Alien
You
is
are
the
obs-
best.
Yeah, how many times a week are we
horror
going to talk about
franchise.
Alien?
Aliens, even the recent ones like Covenant and Romulus and everything else. I really think there are some bad ones. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely some bad Alien movies. But the beginnings stand the test of time. The sequel is probably the best of the bunch. And then the recent ones, even Prometheus, do a lot to explain the lore and everything around it. And each of them have their own moment and their own segment that stand throughout the whole entire organization. I think franchise, horror, Alien needs to be on the list.
So I disagree. Not because Alien isn't a great movie or franchise for that matter, because obviously it is. However, taking the full franchise into consideration, I don't really think that's a horror franchise as much as a sci-fi, maybe even action franchise.
I agree. Some of them
Interesting.
are
Especially
more
with
in-
things like Prometheus. And
Some of them are
so
definitely more in the
whereas
action, but Romulus to me is back to the horror. That's why I
Romulus
loved it so
and
much.
the first original ones could
Yeah.
be considered horror movies. I'm gonna say that doesn't make it on my list because of those outliers.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
think it'll
gonna
make it
put
on
out
mine.
there Friday the 13th, which is my personal favorite horror movie franchise.
See, there's like 72 of
Friday's
them.
got to be up there. Friday's got to be
I
up
mean-
there.
That's one of the few I have seen almost all of them.
Really?
Yeah, I will say I got into watching horror movies later in life. I was not watching them as
Sure.
a child. I was very sheltered. I was very scared.
Same.
I started getting into them maybe in my late 20s, early 30s. And so when you guys told me to think of my 3 favorite franchises, I was like, how many have I actually seen all
Sure.
of the
Right.
of the episode of the
Installments. Yeah.
exactly. So I've seen Chucky. I know Chucky would be one.
Sure.
But I haven't seen them all, so I don't feel like I can safely say.
Sure.
Right.
Friday, I think, is got to be up there. It's iconic for generations. I mean, the fact that you've seen them all and
I have seen them all.
you're a newer horror fan,
Yes.
But
says
that
something.
to me, that has the same problem as Halloween. Like, the beginnings are great. There's been
like
70
I've
movies.
said,
They're not
good does not equal good franchise, in my opinion.
So
in
then
this
Halloween's
genre.
on there. If Friday the 13th is on there.
I think it's got to be
there
considered.
I think there are more good Friday the 13th movies than there are Halloween movies.
Sure.
Personally, that's a personal taste.
We're all ignoring the elephant in the room, which is Scream,
Scream's got to be
Scream
there.
has
which
to be
is
on
the
there.
best of all
Especially
time.
for our
Change
generation.
No one will
the
ever
game,
do
still
better.
relevant. You're totally right.
I've seen those. That's one of the few horror movies that I did see as a teenager and was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Absolutely.
Number 3 was life changing. Love number 3.
Number
Wow.
Love number 3.
Wow. Shout out to Ryan C.
Shout out
Showers.
to Ryan.
We're guesting on the Scream podcast with Ryan C. Showers. It'll be out as you listen to this.
Yep.
So check out over there.
And,
so shout out to you. And you're right. He loves 3. I hate 3. But
Until
3?
you just now, he was the first person I'd ever heard say 3 was his
3 is the
favorite.
best. 3 is the best. Sorry. If you like
Really?
things to be a little funny, which I do, that is the one that hits it the hardest.
Wow.
It's so good.
I like your style.
Throw one out there.
Scream's definitely got to be
Scream's
up
gotta
there.
be
I
up there.
completely
Yeah.
agree.
I have arguments about everything else that's been said so far, but Scream's on the list.
I love the Friday piece. Predator?
Not horror for the same reason that Alien.
What do you mean it's not horror?
Put it much
The
more into
original,
sci-fi
the original
action.
one's not horror.
Yeah.
The original one is like
Jason?
one of the
Friday the
best.
13th? If Jason is horror, as is, so therefore Predator is.
Predator comes from space. That's sci-fi.
But they fight each other all
No,
the time.
that first movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that is an action movie. It has the horror elements. That's an action movie. I thought about
100%.
Predator as well, but
Yeah, just because it's a monster doesn't make it a horror.
still, Predator, one of the best movies
I
from
love
that genre.
Predator. No problem with
Yeah.
Predator as a
Yes.
franchise, but
Yes.
I don't think it goes on this list. Another one that I would throw out there is the Conjuring franchise, which is another
Ooh.
more
Oh, I
recent,
do like the Conjuring
very
franchise.
high grossing, very high quality horror movies.
Very good.
They really
Good
are.
style. That's always very important to me.
Yeah.
I love,
Absolutely. And it's
I love
tough.
a franchise that provides me with a costume idea for Halloween. You know, like I'm looking for Halloween costumes. I'm looking for anything like with a really interesting take on
what
style.
was last year's Halloween costume?
Well, we've done. My fiance and I have done Morticia and
Addams Family.
and
Gomez?
Debbie.
Oh,
Yes,
Love that.
we did. I was.
That's so
can you guess? Can you guess who was who?
No.
I was Debbie.
Respect.
hilarious.
Nightmare on Elm Street? Nightmare on Elm Street.
Definitely worth a mention. I think
Worth
that
a mention?
It's not beating out Halloween. It's
again,
the same Halloween problem,
same
and
thing for
Halloween's
Halloween.
better.
I think there
Nightmare
are
on
more
Elm
bad
Street.
ones than good ones.
Dude, come on.
Halloween's
Freddy
better.
Krueger might be the
love
most
Freddy.
scary concept of a character.
You could be right. Freddy's a good one. Freddy
Yeah.
definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know if it goes on our list of top 3 franchises.
Saw?
Saw's
Okay.
got to go on there. Saw's
Saw.
like synonymous with horror franchises.
Lauren,
in my
are you a
opinion.
Saw fan?
I am.
We watched all of those together.
I love
also.
it, and I'll tell you a few reasons why. One is I like the complicated math that each installment must add upon the first.
Yes.
The primary pilot, the prime movie, it must add new details about what
true.
happened that night, which I think is a very fun, weird puzzle to solve. I also stylistically love especially in like the first 2 or 3, there's like a lot of crazy cutscenes and like weird editing that I thought was
Sure,
really
yeah,
awesome.
very experimental.
And most importantly to me in a franchise slasher is a cunty little villain.
Yeah.
And
Definitely has that. Definitely has that.
Billy the Puppet.
right.
It hits the Halloween costume element.
Oh, hell yeah.
They have a lot of practical effects, which I love.
It is the only franchise
These
where
are good
every new
arguments.
one that comes out changes the story of all the previous ones.
Yes.
All right. We've thrown out quite a bit. I think, can we all agree Scream is on there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Can we all agree that...
Saw should be the next one, I think.
Can we all
What do
agree?
you want to do instead of Saw, Tony?
Here's the thing. Saw to me is the perfect horror franchise for this generation of horror. So if you want to throw that on there, that's great. I personally despise this generation of horror because the movies like Halloween, even Friday the 13th, you brought up The Conjuring, which is a great example of this. There's 2 different worlds of horror. One is building up to the scare and one is the jump scare and the gore corn. if we don't want to say that word. I hate the gore corn. I hate the jump scare. I never love those movies because they're repetitive and formulaic.
And I hate the jump scare.
No. I like movies that build, that have tension, that have something that holds weight. Like Halloween, how when you're following her throughout her neighborhood, he's behind her 10 miles away, and he's just in the camera frame. There's one jump scare in Halloween, and it builds and it pays it off. And those, to me, are the scariest movies, the ones that stick with you. And Aliens is kind of the same way.
Alien's not making the list.
I understand, but I'm just saying, like, that type of horror has always attracted me more. The Saw stuff, it's a dime a dozen when it comes to me. It's a different way to do this, a new Rube Goldberg, but I love Billy the Puppet. Don't like the Saw movies because, okay, all right, it's that over
All right,
and
so
over
after
again.
that diatribe, we're putting Saw in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just saying.
Hold on.
I
Do
heavily
you have
disagree
a
with it.
franchise that you think goes above that?
Well, we've thrown
excluding anything we've talked about?
Alien to the ground, but something like Friday the 13th or Halloween, I think, are both much more impactful than Saw. And The Conjuring as well. I think all those are much more impactful
I think
than
The
Saw.
Conjuring goes off just in terms of iconicness. It's not up there for me. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, one of those has to be on there.
No,
or Halloween. I'd say
I would vote Friday the 13th out of those.
I would as well.
Friday the 13th, Scream, and I'll throw this very, very emotional man a bone and say Halloween. Does that sound good to people?
So we didn't get Saw on there.
Can we just...
Saw's not on there yet.
I just want to throw out one more that hasn't been mentioned because I think it contains one of the scariest.
I know what you did last summer. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's Hellraiser.
So back to Saw. And
Not a Hellraiser fan. huh?
What's
I
the
mean,
scary?
it's fine,
What's the
but it
scariest?
I think
part?
Hellraiser 2 is one of the most scary films
All right,
that
we
has
gotta-
ever been
we
made.
gotta-
I have
What-
seen both of those.
okay, Saw or Halloween?
Saw.
Saw or Halloween? Saw or Halloween?
You guys do whatever you want.
All right, the top
dead
three.
inside.
Tony's so upset that aliens
How
not
about
making this list.
Yeah, Tony, we're gonna put a fourth on because there's four
Yeah,
people.
I
Okay,
love that. I love
so we're
that.
gonna do Halloween,
Yeah.
Saw,
Great.
Friday the 13th,
Yes.
and Scream. That's a solid list,
That's
guys.
the best. Those are
That
the
is
best
a
horror
solid
franchises.
list.
No question.
Yeah.
You
Well
tell
done.
us if you disagree like me. But let's move on to a franchise that didn't even get mentioned for this list. Final Destination. The sixth movie is coming out. Again, as we said, the last few, none of them have hit 200 million, but 3 have gone over 150. The fourth one is the one that had the best opening weekend, and it was the worst one, The Final Destination. That had 27.4 domestically opening weekend, came out to 187 total back in 2009. That's the most this franchise has ever made. Altogether, 657 million worldwide Final Destination has made. That's why they keep making them, because they make money. As you guys said, this movie's going to be everywhere. We do have a piece of trivia, which I artfully added into this segment. We do have a piece of trivia based on Final Destination Bloodlines. We'd love to test your knowledge on what this is going to be here. So take your best guess. I don't believe no, who got it right last week? It was you. You beat out Alche last week. So
Nope.
Kellerman's 1-0.
I don't
Beat out
remember
Lewis,
the,
but
I
yes.
don't remember the trivia.
You beat Lewis. 40-year-old virgin.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Kellerman is 1-0 in trivia. Let's see if Alchik can match that. Which one of these horror franchises' sixth installments made the most money worldwide? That's right. Each of these things I'm going to say have had 6 movies, if not more, sadly. And we'll get another one, Final Destination. Which one made the most money worldwide? Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare? Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives? Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers? D, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning, because that's what you do when
That
you have a
was
sixth movie.
I thought that was 4.
Is you go back to
it's
the beginning.
Part of the reboot stuff.
And then finally, E, Leprechaun 6, Back to the Hood.
Back to the Hood.
Yeah. Kellerman, the fact that you knew that subtitle when I said
4
Leprechaun 6.
4 was in the hood.
Which one made the most money worldwide?
I'm gonna go. Jason Lives.
Jason Lives. Okay, we got one for Jason. Kellerman?
I'm gonna go last.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'm going to go last. I'll go with Halloween. Kellerman?
I'm gonna say, gosh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it was part of the reboot series. I think that's it.
Fantastic. I'll get the answer in a second, but I do want to say about Leprechaun, this reminded me the 2 directors of Final Destination 6 Bloodlines directed Leprechaun Origins.
Really, they did the reboot of Leprechaun.
Yes, they did. They also directed the Kim Possible TV movie. Those are the 2 biggest credits they have. And actually, 2018
Fascinating.
Freaks with Emil Hirsch
I've
is
seen
probably
that
the
one.
biggest
I
credit.
didn't see
This
the
movie's
Leprechaun
gonna rule.
This movie's gonna rock.
And the answer is D, Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning.
Woo!
It's time to guess whether this is going to make a certain number or not a certain number. We're playing over-unders, folks. Kellerman and I won last week. Alche, how'd you do last week? That means I am leading overall 8-5. Kellerman's at 5-8. Alche somewhere in between. Doesn't matter because he's losing now. TJ, the number for Final Destination Bloodline domestic opening weekend. Lauren, you'll be joining in on guessing. The number is, will this make over or under 33 million domestically opening weekend?
That's a
It is
hefty
coming out
sum.
alone. It has been previewed everywhere. Every movie I've seen so far for this show, I've seen a trailer for Final Destination Bloodlines before it, except for King of Kings. But that's another story entirely.
For reference, The Accountant 2 made under 25 million.
What was
just so you
what was
know.
Sinners opening weekend?
Sinners was 40.
Well over this. Well over this.
45 domestically.
So, Lauren, you are our guest. You
Great.
will start. Over or under 33 million domestically?
I'm going over.
Wow.
And because the trailer's so good, and two, because it's really hot outside and people want to go to the movies.
That's a smart move.
That is smart. That is smart. Final Destination Bloodlines. Does it bring the traffic? Kellerman, you're in last place. Of the three of us, which way are you going?
I think I'm going to go over also.
Wow.
I think that horror movies are in. I think that this is going to be a really
Wow.
cool one, even if it's not a great one. And I think that a lot of people are really excited for it, regardless of how good it is.
Wow. That's 2 overs on 33 million. Alche, do you want me to go first or do you want to go?
I'm going to go first. Thank you. Over. It's been 14 years since the last one. People are excited. It's a different take on Final Destination. And I'm in. I actually want to see this. And if I want to see this, then everyone else is going to want it too, obviously.
You also wanted to see The Drop, and it took you a while to see that. I don't think many people are going out opening weekend to see this movie.
I got to tell you, The Drop was really good. Just so you know. Spoiler for your review coming to the Substack in the next month.
I think this is a really good number by TJ based on the, what's the word? What's the word when they look ahead?
I don't know.
Projections. I think this is a really good number by TJ based on the projections that are out there. 33's a solid one. These three all went over, so I'm just going to take the other side. Because I think it could hit over, I could hit under, but I don't believe in the power of this franchise. I think the trailer's really good. I think the marketing has been great. I don't think people are dying to go see the next version of this. So I'll take the under, and I think it's going to get washed away next week when Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch come out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to... I think it's going to make... It needs to make all of its money in its opening weekend. Is it coming out against anything
Not really anything of note.
I think it's got a shot. And Devon Sawa coming back? Come on.
Oh, come on.
Congratulations.
Everyone's pumped for Devon
Yeah,
Sawa.
everyone knows that name. I will say, I think because of what it's up against, and if it can make money this week, I think Ben Rosen, the man who has this in our indie category, has a good chance of it not hitting over 150 because it will die a very quick death.
I agree. I think he's got a great chance of not getting over 150.
Any last words on Final Destination Bloodline?
So excited to see it. Whoever that cool old hag is in there, that's the part that made me know that it was going to be good. When you have an old hag in a movie, that is going to be
The old wise woman.
Yeah, that's worth seeing. So go see it. Let's
Yeah.
get it over that number.
For the old hag alone. Final Destination's Bloodlines set a record, a movie record for Hollywood with this movie. I swear to God, this is true. A 71-year-old woman is set on fire in this movie. It is the oldest woman to ever be set
Why
on
are you
fire in a
spoiling
Hollywood
it?
movie.
like a real 71-year-old
Yes.
stunt woman?
Yes, 71-year-old stunt
That's-
woman is
oh my
set on
God.
fire in
I
this
want that
movie.
to be my job when I retire.
This movie's
Sign
gonna
me up for
clear
$71
$30
stuntman,
no
yeah.
problem.
That's fantastic. I thought that was great. Good for her. Go get it.
I agree.
Final Destination Bloodline. That's it for our show. We'll be back next week with a very special, large, in-charge episode, Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch. The box office league will be changed forever next weekend, and I can't wait because my big boy is coming out to play. I'm
Don't listen
catching
to
up
him.
you,
Lauren,
Kelvin.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
It's
for
been
having
a
me.
privilege having your really intelligent and thoughtful horror
you.
energy
Yeah.
It's nice to have a
in
little
the
feminine
building.
energy on the podcast.
We need it.
It
We
is.
need it.